Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's time for the match reaction as always. Celtic not at their best today, but a good win ahead of a massive game on Wednesday. Another win that keeps us at top of the table, and another win that just keeps the good times coming here at Celtic. Celtic 2, Hearts 0. Let's talk about that. Like and subscribe, all of that nonsense. Hello, welcome yourselves in. Celtic are back. It feels good to see it, and it felt good to be at Parkhead this afternoon to watch Celtic get another win to start off what's been a very good Scottish Premiership season thus far. I mean, God, you think back to last year. Remember we welcomed Hearts to Celtic Park in the December of 2023. Hearts walked out 2-0 victors, and there was such a toxicity surrounding Celtic at the time. There was such a negative atmosphere leaving the ground that day, online, everywhere else. Now, even when Celtic aren't playing their best, it's the exact opposite, because today, Celtic weren't at their best. They weren't. There's no denying that. But, you know, you have those sort of days. You have those days where maybe not everything clicks, but you still win. You still play well enough to win, and Hearts were, at the end of the day, nowhere near us. But the difference, and even walking out of there, not playing our best with a 2-0 win over the side who finished third last season, compared to that result last year in December, it's night and day, and it just shows you the progression that what we've been seeing. And I've been banging on about that after every game so far this season, the progression and the night and day between the start of last season and the start of this season. But I think that even in these moments when we don't play as well, it shows even more so, because last year, that's the kind of game Celtic throw away points at the end. 100%. You know, we go up 1-0 through the penalty, and then in the last 10 or so minutes, we would have thrown the game away. There is nothing that can convince me otherwise that's what we would have done. But this year, I think the character's different. I think that the team are just mentally in a very different place. It's just, yeah, the development is crazy. So, walking out there, being tested against Hearts to show our nerve, to show our bottle, to then walk out, score a second, score a third that gets chopped off, and to win quite convincingly without letting Hearts really jeopardise our position of being 1-0 up, shows a real mental toughness from the Celtic side today. And you've got to remember, you know, this is a Celtic side that is looking different. Yeah, it might not be wholesale changes throughout the team, but something as pivotal as going into this stage of the season after the international break without a Matt O'Reilly in the midfield, with a new star midfielder, with new players just dotted in and around the squad. And you think of even something as pivotal as Joe Hart, who left, and Schmeichel coming in to now transcend all the negativity into positivity from last year. That's a real credit to Brendan Rodgers. I'm happy with how we've started this season, and I know that people will nitpick from today's performance because you like to do that. You demand perfection as a Celtic fan. We're known for that. We're known for being a very fickle support. People will be in my comment section demanding perfection from that game and complaining about certain aspects of that game, but generally I don't think you can be too disheartened with a 2-0 win over Hearts. Yeah, let's talk about it all. If we take it back to the start like we usually do, I think the biggest shock for me today is that Paulo Bernardo was left out of the starting 11. I thought it was a shame. I must admit, I thought it was quite harsh on Paulo Bernardo to drop him from the side, but I suppose if you look at it in the sense that he was playing football with the Belgium underside, the under-21s. Sorry, I'm talking absolute nonsense. The Portugal, I'm thinking of ARNE Engels there. He's playing football with the Portugal under-21s. Maybe he's had more minutes than Engels did with Belgium, who missed his second game through suspension. Didn't play the full 90 in his first game either. Maybe it was smart of Rodgers to allow Engels to go out, bed himself into the team. Hatate, who wasn't involved in internationals. Maybe that was just a smarter decision, but I did think it was harsh on Paulo Bernardo. However, I do understand the reason why that he's gone for the midfield three of McGregor, Bernardo and Hatate. And say what you like about the performance of the three, we'll come on to that in a moment, but at the end of the day, as good as Bernardo was, and as much as I want to see him get more starts in a Celtic shirt, if the gun was held to your head about who the best midfield three is, if we were to play a midfield three against Real Madrid on Wednesday night, you're probably going to be choosing Engels, Hatate and McGregor, because on paper and over the course of the last couple of years, Hatate gets in over Bernardo. Engels is an £11 million signing. McGregor is McGregor. He's the captain. That's the midfield three that you'd normally be choosing. So if that was Brendan Rodgers' idea of getting the dress rehearsal done for Wednesday's game against Bratislava, I completely understand why he's gone for that midfield three. I can see why Bernardo was maybe dropped to the bench. Bernardo did come on later in the game, and maybe that was his opportunity to, once again, maybe get a dress rehearsal in for another potential midfield three that could play against Bratislava. That conversation will come on Tuesday. We'll talk about that then. But for today, that was the midfield three that was selected. It's the ARNE Engels show. Listen, if I'm talking about anything from the first half, which was generally quite a boring half, ARNE Engels is the standout for me. I thought that he looked really, really good. He looked sharp, which is most important, especially heading into a Champions League campaign. He's a different player from Matt O'Riley, 100%. I think that you can see there is differences in the way that they carry the ball, move the ball, turn on the ball, and even just generally their presence in the park. I think that Matt O'Riley gives me the vibe of a player who was maybe a bit more advanced than ARNE Engels. Maybe ARNE Engels is naturally a more reserved player. Not like we've seen Engels get chances in the first half. I'm not saying that he doesn't go forward, that he isn't as advanced in that regard. It's not like he doesn't want chances, but I think that maybe he suits being a little bit more restricted than O'Reilly ever was. But that doesn't mean it's a negative. You know, they're, at the end of the day, they're different footballers. We weren't signing Engels to be a carbon copy of Matt O'Reilly. Yeah, we were bringing him in to do a lot of the things that O'Reilly done. And he showed that today, that he could do those things. The way that he was turning on the ball was silky smooth. The passes that he was trying to pick out at times, not 100% successful. Nobody, I think, was really good at the passing today. But some of them were, some of them weren't. But his visions looked good. His ideas looked good. And he had a couple of chances in that first half. He was just kind of all about the place. And I like that about ARNE Engels. I like that he showed a real initiative to do things that maybe other players don't think of at points. You know, just that off the ball side of football that really separates the top players from the mediocre players. Engels just looked really, really good for me today, and I liked it. And I thought, his 90-minute performance was well more than deserving of that Man of the Match award that he got at the end of the game. He got his first goal, he got the penalty. I mean, welcome to Celtic. What a way to cement yourself as a starter at Celtic. You know, coming in, the pressure on your shoulders to get that first goal, a penalty, which Celtic have been famously bad at in recent years. You know, we've been really poor with penalties. To put the side 1-0 up in a game where they need to win, the pressure would have been on him. The £11 million record signing. If he misses that penalty, it's always going to be in the headlines the next day. And he steps up, and God, trust me, we all know that Craig Gordon's fucking hopeless with the penalties, right? We watched it for long enough, but to still step up to that spot, to finish it off, to do it as cool as he did, I like it. I'm getting good first impressions. I think he's a man who's going to have the mentality of a winner, the skills of a winner. There was just one moment in the game in the first half where he turned the Hearts player, and it was just beautiful. I think we're on to a winner with ARNE Engels. I think we've got a suitable Matt O'Riley replacement there. He was the real highlight for me in the first half, which was difficult for Celtic. Let's be real, we'll come on to the second in a minute, but nobody else really lit it up in the first half. Kyogo missed an absolute... And this is the thing, Kyogo, I love you to bits. I love him. I'm not going to sit here and slag Kyogo off, right? But how does he... He scores the hard ones. And then the easy ones, Craig Gordon's got one fucking leg. And he's not attempting to take it round him. He's not attempting to do anything. He just misses. And he has all the time in the world. He has 1,000,000 yards around him to do something. And he just rushes it. And I think that can be Kyogo's problem sometimes. I think he overcomplicates the simple ones. And then somehow he makes the hard ones look easy. Really frustrating. We should have had more goals in the first half. Engels was unlucky, hit the post. We had a couple of our chances, but we were skying it. And I just think things were maybe a little bit tentative for Celtic at times. We were making the wrong decisions, you know. And obviously you've got to change that up in the second half, and you've got to find that confidence. You've got to unlock the game. This is the first time in the league this season where Celtic have had a performance like that in the first half. We've been so used to scoring early, and I think it shows you the difference between a Celtic side who scores really early and a Celtic side that takes a while to find their goal. I think that when we score early, we're not as nervous, we're not as indecisive, and I think you could see aspects of last season creeping in that regard this afternoon, but we handled it really well. We went into the second half with our heads held high. Generally, put it this way, when the half-time whistle went, I wasn't fearing too much. And in the second half, we were better. As we said, we got that penalty through ARNE Engels. I've already spoke on that But there's a lot of, I heard of the super scoreboard coming up the road. There's discourse around the penalty. Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? I've not watched the highlight back as of making this video. I think Naismith is saying the player doesn't have enough time to move his hand. Listen, what I'll say to all of that is, I don't understand the rules anymore. The SFA, and not just the SFA, just refereeing and the game in general in football, have complicated handballs to the point where I don't know what the rule is with a handball. Whether you've got to be a certain amount of yards away from the ball moving, if it's got to be away from your body, tucked into your body. I don't know. They change it like the weather. What I know is it was a penalty. We buried it. Good. Hearts did have a couple of chances, but do you know what? I've got to give shout outs to somebody who I think was maybe my man of the match today. Cameron Carter-Vickers, because I thought he was outstanding at the back. He cleaned things up a couple of times for Celtic. He stopped Hearts from advancing in certain periods of the game. There was a couple of times in the second half, especially when we were only 1-0 up. He'd done that. He just continuously... Look, listen, Cameron Carter-Vickers has got one of the easiest jobs in Scotland, because Celtic defenders don't necessarily need to do too much at Celtic Park. You know, sometimes teams just don't get close to us. But even if it's one thing that he has to do in the game, he always does it right. And he's consistently a 7 out of 10 player. He's consistently an 8 out of 10 player. Cameron Carter-Vickers was really, really good for me today. He cleaned up a couple of occasions for us. And I don't like that just going to the side as if it never happened. He deserves his credit for that. He deserves us talking about it. So he was arguably my man of the match today. He done that. But yeah, we kept Hearts out of it, even though they had a couple of chances. They weren't all that convincing. Celtic, once again, numerous chances that they didn't take. But the game goes on, and Luke McCowan gets his first Celtic goal. Listen, welcome the new signings. Adam Ida should have had one as well. Chopped off, sadly. Luke McCowan got his goal, and I'm delighted for him. It's a tidy finish. And we needed that. We really did. Just to calm the game down, just to give us the security of the 3 points. Luke McCowan, a big thumbs up from me. He looks good in his first 2 cameos, I would say. Appearances always feels like a stretch when you're only playing 15-20 minutes, but his first 2 games that he's came off the bench for us, he's looked like he's up to it at this level. And that's the thing, Luke McCowan is more than good enough for this league. He's more than good enough to play for Celtic, and with better players around him, he'll be even better than he was at Dundee. But that's the kind of player, he would score against Hearts for Dundee, so why can he not do it against Celtic? Why should he be questioned? I'm delighted for him as a Celtic supporter to come on and get that goal today. You can tell that'll probably be an emotional one for him and the family. So fair play to you. God bless, Luke. Yeah, we see the game out. I think, in terms of bad performances, I can't really even stretch to say that anybody necessarily played badly today. If anybody was the worst in the part for me today, it was probably Kyogo. And it wasn't like he was dreadful. He just missed a couple of chances. It was just one of those games that you get every now and then. Look, listen, not all 38 games in the league are going to be 4-0 rompings where you're creating chance after chance. Sometimes you've got to go up against tougher sides. Sometimes you've got to go up teams who are going to make it more difficult for you. But I thought Celtic navigated the task very, very well. And that's ultimately all that matters. The 3 points, top of the league. We're on track for 4 in a row, boys. So yeah, the most important thing is we avoided any slip up or negativity before the game on Wednesday. It was a good run out for players. Seeing Alistair Johnson play the 90 minutes is huge after, a potential hamstring issue in international duty. To see Engles getting 90 minutes is great. To see all these players just looking fine, looking confident, with no injuries, no fitness worries, going into a Champions League campaign on a win. We couldn't ask for more. And bring it on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, we'll talk about that as the next couple of days go by. But thank you for watching this evening. I have appreciated your company. I hope you're all well. I hope you enjoyed the game if you were there or watching at home. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And we'll be back in the channel tomorrow. So, yeah, no rest of the wicked. Anyway, take care. Like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.